Hi, it's Dan Mason from Team Hobby Vault, coming to you with a first place list from today's locals. There's only a 4-round locals, but this is my Flunder list that I played today. We'll just get straight into the profile. Just start off with the main deck here. So pretty simple, it's a Flunder list, so there's not really much differences with most lists you'll see. So we've got 3 Robina, searches any level 4 or lower winged beast monster on normal summon, and does the same thing all other little Floowandereeze do while it's in the banish zone. If you normal summon a winged beast, it'll add itself back. We've got 3 copies of Eaglin. Eaglin searches a level 7 or higher winged beast when it's normal summoned. Then we've got 1 copy of Stree. When it's normal summoned, it banishes a card from either player's graveyard. And we got a copy of Token. He adds back any Floowandereeze card from the banish zone when he's normal summoned. Eaglin and Robina are the only 2 that you want to be running 3 ofs, just because they're the most important. Token and Stree are only good like once you've started getting set up. So we've got some bigger birds. We've got 2 Floowandereeze and M-Pen. He is a big walking, talking floodgate. While he's on the board, any special summon attack position monsters can't activate their effects, which is nice because then your opponent can't even attempt to pay the cost for things. We've also got 1 copy of Rise of the Mega Monarch. He helps you with breaking through boards. He can set you up with a lock that basically prevents your opponent from ever putting stuff in the graveyard. Haven't actually managed to set that loop up because it only comes up every now and again, but it's something that can be done. And we've got 1 Mist Valley Apex Avion. He is a big negates chicken. He can bounce basically himself. He's the only target for his effect back to the hand to negate a card or effect activation. And then for little birds to search off Robina other than Floowandereeze, we've got not 1 but 2 Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds. I find having the second one, nobody expects it, so it's kind of like a shock factor thing, but it's also the fact that it's so easy to run over with all the normal summons that's out. Like most of the sprite cards, most of the tier elements, you can just normal summon, not use their effects, and just punch over it. So I find having the second one for the follow-up just helps. Also, it gives you a nice easy side out target. If you just don't think that it's going to come up in the match, you can just take both copies out, or if you just need to keep the 1 copy for once you've broken the board to set up the Barrier Statue lock, then it's there for you to do. That's it for the actual monsters you're ever going to summon. Then we've got a couple of hand traps. So we've got Dimensional Shifter. Basically, the main reason the deck is doing much, as well as the Barrier Statue. You don't care about anything hitting the grave because you actually want your stuff to be banished. And a lot of people don't like playing under D-Shifter. Tier elements can't do a thing under it, and Sprite, they can sort of make a board, but I found out today that Totally Awesome can't actually negate under Shifter because it has to hit grave for the cost of things, whatever you're attributing, like for the Aqua Monster. And then we've got 3 copies of Ash Blossom, just a generic, good hand trap, hits everything, hits Flunder kind of bad as well, but you've got to run it because you just have the space to. So that's it for the monsters. For spell cards, we've got 3 copies of the Floowandereeze and the Magnificent Map. So, hard once per turn, you can show your opponent a Floowandereeze monster, banish a Floowandereeze card from the deck of a different name than you showed them, then normal summon the thing that you showed them to start with. It gives you an additional normal summon, so you can just start playing, and then if they interrupt you, you can then just have your regular normal summon to keep going. Then you've got 3 copies of Floowandereeze and the Advent of Adventure. This searches everything you want to normal summon in the deck. It also searches the field spell, and for some reason it gives you 500 life points, which apparently Flunder needed a time win condition, and they gave it to us. And then for the other spell, we've got 1 Floowandereeze and the Unexplored Winds. You only ever need 1. It should never come up that you need 2, because however it gets removed, you should be able to either add it back, banish from the graveyard to then add it back off Token, or just add it straight off the Token normal summon. Next we've got some draw power consistency cards. So we've got 3 copies of Pot of Prosperity, 3 copies of Pot of Duality. Extrav is okay. Before I could get Prosperities, I was dealing with having the extravs, but the prosperity is just so much better. Like, it's not anything like Eldritch, like Trap Lich, because you don't care about getting just you don't care about keeping up your hand advantage, because you keep recycling through your little birds from their own effects, or you want to be seeing specific cards for specific matchups that you're just every now and again you're missing one or two cards that you can just find off of the prosperity and the duality. That if you open one little bird and then both one of each of these, you'll just be away to the races. Next, we've got 3 copies of Dark Ruler No More. Every deck realistically should be playing this card in the main. Two Elements and Sprite are the big things that people are worrying about. Most decks are just putting up nice big boards, plenty of negates, so it's just easy just to go have a nice big nope button, and then you don't care about what's on the board, and you just carry on playing. Then, because the deck's I didn't think the deck was degenerate enough, so we've got 1 copy of Mystic Mine. Sometimes you just need to sit under Mine for a few turns if you don't quite have enough to keep going. And then we've also got Terraforming to search out the mine, but also to search out the field spell for Flunder, which is really important to keep going, to start even. And then we've got other one-offs. We've got 1 copy of Harpy Feather Duster. The main deck is 41 cards. I just felt like the deck needed a 1 card out to any back row, and it's just nice to have, just again, like Dark Ruler No More, a nope button to any back row deck. And we've also got 1 Call by the Grave, because hand traps are annoying, and then 1 trap card that we have in the deck, which is Floowandereeze and the Dreaming Town. It's like Monarch, Escalation of the Monarchs, that during the main phase you can normal summon a level 4 lower winged beast. And it also has a Book of Moon effect for your opponent's entire field if you tribute someone while it's in the graveyard. So next we've got the extra deck, which really didn't matter because I didn't go into a single card in it. Most of it's just stuff that would be sent to the graveyard if for some reason you get for some reason you're playing against Dogmatica and they actually play the Maximus. So we've got 3 copies in a Tis. When it's sent to the graveyard, it'll pop a card. That's it. It's good. Then we've got Cyber Dragon Nova and Invoked Mechaba. If this is sent off the Maximus, then you can summon this from the extra deck. Then on your opponent's turn 1, you just have a negate that they have to deal with. And then we've got 1 copy of Cypher Lord Omega and 1 copy of Wind Pegasus Atagnista. They both have nice graveyard effects. This can remove a card from your opponent's board if one of your cards is destroyed by battle or by card effect, and this can also recycle like a pop card that you need to see, or it can just recycle if something has hit the grave that you don't want to, then you can just add it back, and it can recycle one-offs that you can use later. Oh, it can also take out cards from your opponent's graveyard as well. Which can be important in something like against something like Two Elements, that they want to get a specific name out of the graveyard, or they like have King of the Swamp or Rhino Heart that they need to make a specific fusion. You can just take it out of the graveyard and not worry about it. Then XYZs, we've got Lyrilusk, Assembled Nightingale, Bound Magician, and Zeus. This is if things have gone really, really wrong and you need to make this to hit them for a little bit of damage. Or you just need to be able to attack directly, so then you can make the download on top of it, and then the Zeus in the main phase 2, if you've Dark Rolled the whole board. And this is just so that the Zeus has 4 materials rather than 3 materials if you just had the Nightingale. Then we've got a couple of links. We've got the Wind Charmer link, the Water Charmer link, because you have water and wind winged beasts. We've got Tri-Brigade, Ferragite, and Tri-Brigade Shirag. Both of them have cut effects when they hit the graveyard, so they kind of come up every now and again. And then we've got 1 Underworld Goddess of the Closed Worlds. Unaffected monsters are really hard to deal with for the deck. That if it's completely unaffected by stuff, you have no way to beat over it if it's more than 2700 attack. 2800, sorry. So if things have gone really wrong and you're able to just keep a load of little birds on the board, you can use their unaffected monster to just link someone into this, and it has a negate on it and is unaffected by stuff as well that don't target it. Last, we've got the side deck. So I felt like Ghost Spell is a really good hand trap against specifically Terror Elements, and it does hit some other matchups that are graveyard orientated. If you're opening up a hand with both Shifter and Bell, then you can obviously Shifter them for a couple of turns, and once they try to start to play, and you haven't killed them yet, then you can Ghost Spell their first Fusion Summon or something like from the graveyard that it's just another like insurance policy against graveyard decks. Then we've got one Dark Zamorg. This completely kills the Eldritch matchup, back row matchups, because it has a really funky bit of text that says your opponent cannot set spell or traps. So, and that's just, it's not an activated effect or anything, just while it's on the board. Spell and traps just can't be, your opponent just can't set spell or traps. And it's 27, which is nice and big. Then we've got some back row removal extra, so we've got 2 Cosmics, 2 Twins, and we also have a red reboot. I only have 2 Twin Twisters. Obviously red reboot's at 1, and Cosmic is just for... Cosmic's better against stuff like Eldritch, where they're going to be banishing them from their cards from the graveyard after they've been removed, so you just banish it straight from the field instead. And then we've got some other traps. We've got some Evenlies, because they're just good generic. You don't really care about your battle phase, because you can set up a lock that your opponent won't be able to play. So just getting rid of giving up your battle phase to get rid of everything on the board bar 1 card. It's pretty worth it. And then, because the deck needs to be a little bit more toxic for going first, I sided 3 copies of Harpy's Featherstorm. Neat fact, if you blow up Harpy's Featherstorm, you can search Feather Duster, which actually came up a couple of weeks ago. My opponent didn't realise that at the time, and he happened to have some really important back row that I managed to blow up because he didn't realise I could search my Feather Duster. This also is insane in the mirror match, that if you go first and activate this, your opponent will not be able to play the game whatsoever.